Oh man, do I love food. The LA Times even took notice after I ate at Hugo's nearly every day for 32 years. It was just blocks from my home in West Hollywood. And now I've moved to the motion picture and television fund here in Woodland Hills, and my obsession for good meals continue to simmer. Join me as I explore our food options here on the Wasserman campus.
Thank you. So, this is Alex and Brian Lovi of Lovi's Delicatessen up the street. It's a little more than a stone's throw, but it's close. I've been to the place many, many, many times. And when I moved in here, Alex and Brian, which was in March of 2015, I think you had most recently opened.
Yes, that is correct. We did open in March. And, we didn't even advertise that we're opening. We just opened up and we were inundated with people. It was an awesome, awesome experience.
And so you've been now, I know that this has been a family gathering and a family, I can even call it a tradition. You spoke about your father in the deli business. So are you leading me to believe that there are more delis than Lovi's that you're involved with?
Yes, I also have a partner who is my cousin's wife, Nurit Lovi, and we own together Agora Deli in Agora Hills and Country Deli in Chatsworth. And Lovi's Deli is just mine and my son's.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes, and my father, he always had a dream. He's a war camp survivor, and they were almost starved in the camp in Auschwitz.
Really?
And when he had the opportunity, he opened up a restaurant because he said, I never want to be hungry again, So I want to feed the world, And my mom was an unbelievable cook and a chef.
Oh.
And mostly all the recipes that we have in the restaurants is all passed down by my mom that was also, a war camp survivor.
Oh, my God. Well, I've had the pleasure over the years of meeting some survivors, and it just sends chills down me. So
yes,
never again.
It was all a product of love. My parents loved food, loved the European cuisine. We're from Romania, so all the style of cooking is more of a Romanian shtetl, cooking. And all the Romanian and Hungarian recipes that my mom accumulated over her life, she all put it together into the restaurants. And today, the reason I called it Lovi's Deli, I wanted to call it Calabasas Deli when we originally were opening up. And then, Jay, who's my general manager, says, no, just do it Lovi's, And then finally I said, you're right. I should do it Lovi's because it's just a reminder that, we came from a small shtetl, with 20,000 people when my father was born. And they were all taken to a concentration camp. And they came back. He lost more than half of his family. And on the 101 freeway, his family name, Lovi, is still flying after the Auschwitz survival. So you can imagine how proud I am of our name because, it survived concentration camp and it's flying on the 101 freeway for everyone to see it.
Gesund. I mean, you couldn't, that's, oh boy. When I think about that, I missed all that. I had no relatives. I've interviewed folks who have had the unfortunate experience that your family has had. And God bless America. What can I say?
Absolutely. So as you can see, it's in our genes. Was passed on to me, was passed on to Nurit Lovi, and passed on to Brian Lovi. So it's generational. And we love to be able to provide wonderful comfort food, the healthiest foods, all organic to the community. And we love to be part of the community in Calabasas. We've been so welcomed in this city, and we truly feel at home in Calabasas.
No, that's excellent. My mother was Hungarian. My father was Russian from Minsk. pardon me, from Kiev in the Ukraine. So the two met, and growing up, I had some very interesting food combinations. But tell me something. I've gone to delis all my life, including a deli in Israel, which was, delis are so American, if you will. It's the deli in Israel is a whole other world. But with the delis that we have here, tell me what you feel makes Lovi's different. I mean, I've been to Brent's. Certainly, I've been to Canner's, and I've been to Cohen's when Canner's and Cohen's opened. Cohen's was across the street, and they didn't last long, and Canner's has lasted all these years. But tell me, what do you feel that makes your deli different than a Brett's?
Well, to me, with two little Jewish restaurants left in the United States, the deli business is a dying business, as you know. Our generation that grew up with schmaltz, grew up with, chopped liver and gefilte fishes and grubels. All that era is coming slowly to an end because today's modern people don't eat stuff like that. The modern Jewish young families and stuff that are not used to that kind of a food that we're used to, being Eastern European or European. So what we have done, we kind of like, what makes me apart from the other delis is that I feel I kind of have put a 21st century twist on our foods. We were the first ones to get to turn all our menu, thanks to my son, to all organic eggs, organic chickens. He really, like everything in the restaurant is all organic, a lot of stuff, because he felt, Dad, we eat here ourselves. I want the healthiest stuff, even though a little more expensive, but it's the healthy things to do. So we have done that from day one when we opened up. We always were a little bit more because we bring in the freshest produce. We do all organic, and also the chickens are all free-range chickens where they're not, shot with hormones and all that stuff. And I feel that the other delis are more of a old shtetl delis, while Lovi's Deli is more of a 21st century twist on it, that you can have more modern food. You have much more salads. It's a more healthier menu overall, and the choices that we have chosen because of my son, we were the first one to introduce Mexican food to our menu. So we were the first deli that truly started a section called the Mexicatessen, where we live in Los Angeles, as you know, we have a large, Mexican population, and we all love Mexican food, So we were the first deli to kind of introduce a whole section Mexicatessen with Mexican food, and then everybody else kind of like went along with it and they incorporated in their menu. We were the first deli that really we started our Chinese chicken salad almost 48 years ago, which is one of our number one sellers, which is one of my mother's recipes. It's still number one seller at all our restaurants, all the 3 restaurants that I told you. And what we also did different is that we imported our pastrami from New York. So our pastrami comes directly from New York. Every week we get fresh pastrami. And it's just a different thing. If you ever had bagels in New York, done with the New York water, it's just a different flavor, a different taste. It's one of those old shtetl tastes that if you really love something really nice, you would have the pastrami from New York. And it's the same pastrami that which deli in New York sells? Katz Deli. Katz Deli sells the same pastrami that we're selling here. So you don't have to go to New York because you can have the same pastrami here in Calabasas.
Well, let me tell you that I met Jay early on, as I would come there an awful lot, and he prepared for me one of my favorite dishes is broiled chicken. And where you have chicken on the menu, but not broiled chicken. So he would do, if they had room in the kitchen and, they weren't too busy, he would do it for me. And that's a meal that I enjoy. It's one of my favorite dishes, as a matter of fact, at Musso and Frank. That they are one of the few restaurants that to this day have broiled chicken on the menu. So,
well, something. It's if any of our patrons desire any specialty foods that they grew up with or something, if they give us 24 hours notice, we can make it for them. It's not something that, on a Monday, Tuesday when it's slower, you call up a day before, say, can you make me something like this? And we always accommodate somebody if they have a specific thing that they want to, that they love. Even if our menu changes, and somebody likes something that we had on the previous menu, we will make it. It's not a big deal.
Right. No, that's very nice. Brian, I take my hat off to you in introducing organic foods and, turning around the old Stettles situation, because it's a big thing that's been happening, as you well know. That's really how are you enjoying the business, Brian?
I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm here. I love working with my father, my family, and everyone. We're just one big family.
Now tell me, are there other parts of the family that participate in the restaurant? I mean, not as that come to work in the restaurant.
We do have everyone feels like family, but
yeah, sure.
real family. My sister Jessica and my father mentioned Nurit Lovi as well, and that's who of us are in the restaurant. Maybe. When my kids are older, if we need a cook or something, we can throw them in the kitchen, But right now, it's us, and we love it.
Right.
We love it.
That's great. I was going to ask you, Alex. You sort of mentioned it, because there are some delis that cook their own corned beef, pastrami, etc. And you're pulling from New York, which is an excellent pastrami. I mean, I've had the pleasure.
It's just something, it's something above the rest. If you taste this pastrami, as if you ever go to New York and you have the New York bagel, it's a whole different experience. It's just an amazing taste, the smoky taste that they have in New York. I mean, it's a process. It's a process. It's a 100-year-old pastrami that they've been doing it for 100 years, the same factory that supplies the entire New York area, and it's a very unique to have. And we have, I believe, we're the only ones in California that sells that, Brian.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
At least
I think
in
Southern California,
sure.
we're the only ones that are allowed to sell it.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So
wow.
it's kind of very unique, and we're very proud of bringing it to California, and especially to Calabasas. That we love Calabasas.
How do you get it out here? Do they fly it out?
Yeah, it's flown out every week. Yes, and it's so the way it comes is that we cook it in house.
Right.
It comes, but we do cook it in house. We boil it and we put on, we add, onions and all the sauces that we put to it, and even our corned beef, even it comes raw and we cook it in house.
Okay, right.
Everybody does that. They have their own recipes. Every deli, they have their own stuff, the way they prepare their corned beef and their pastrami.
Mm-hmm.
So we have also our own ways of preparing them. But nothing comes ready cooked. They all come raw, and we cook it in house.
You cook it yourself.
Yeah.
Well, how has it been? So you've been primarily the customers have been eating on the patios, huh?
Well, it has been a very difficult period for not just for us here in Calabasas, but I think in general all the restaurants in the United States. Mm-hmm. Some states are lucky that they have opened 50%, so they can actually serve more customers. Unfortunately, here in California, especially Los Angeles, I know that as of last week, Orange County opened their restaurants, indoor dining. Uh-huh. And I know San Diego has opened indoor dining. However, not here in LA County.
Right.
It has been a very difficult thing that we experienced. First of all, we have let go of so many employees that have been with us for years. And that has been a very difficult thing to do because, you have all these loyal employees we've been in this business for almost 48 years. We still have some of the employees that we started with. So it has been a very difficult thing, and it breaks my heart that, I couldn't get them back even now. We're running at such a 10%, 20%, capacity, which is, nothing when a restaurant to run profitably, you have to run at 100 capacity, 100%, and you're running at 20%. So, everybody is hanging on by the,
Yes.
very difficult. We're all hanging on, really. It's been a difficult journey. And we really hope that soon that we'll be able to be open up and, do what we do, serve the public and make everybody happy and feel like they have a place to go.
Right.
And it reminds me of, the Deli reminds me of that show, the bar. Cheers.
Oh, cheers, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Calabasas Cheers. Come on down to the Deli, So, we feel very fortunate that we've been able to stay afloat. But I know many of my friends that are in the restaurant business, some of them have actually closed forever. And some of them are hanging on by the skin of their teeth. It has been a very difficult time.
Mm-hmm. Where do you see it going? Do you see it... hopefully this is going to change. Change is part of our life and all of that, and this too will change.
I think once they come up with a vaccine, things will change, one. Two, in my personal opinion, this is like having a bad cold, and will it ever go away? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I think it will always be here. And I do believe that we should open up the restaurant because as long as you wear a mask, and as long as you, sanitize your hands, I think you'll be okay eating in a restaurant. That's my personal opinion. And I think that you can't keep the economy closed down forever. Whether this, we're going to have COVID here for the rest of our lives. Does it mean we're going to keep our restaurants closed for the next 20 years? We can't.
We can't.
We have to open up the restaurants. We have to open up not just the restaurant, but other businesses that. Ma and Pa are suffering the same. We're all in the same boat, whether you're a large restaurant, a small restaurant, or whatever. We're all in the same boat. And I just hope that, very shortly that we'll be opening up, because you can't run a restaurant being shut down. It just can't, not at this level.
No, it's too tough. No, it's impossible. It doesn't, restaurant business doesn't work that way at all.
But we've been very fortunate here in Calabasas that our customers are so loyal here in Calabasas. And we've been so blessed, from the mayors to the city council to everyone down there to the regular customers that have been so nice to us and so supportive of us that truly we feel very blessed to be here in Calabasas.
Have you changed your hours?
Our hours have changed, yes, because people don't come as early to the restaurant. So we're open from 8 o'clock, right, Brian?
8 to 8 Monday.
8 to 8 Monday through Friday.
Sunday through Thursday.
Sunday through Thursday.
Right.
We're open from 8 to 8. And Friday, Saturday, we open from 8 to 9.
Uh-huh.
And of course, our businesses have been, we do a lot of takeout.
Yes, sure.
And, people that come into the restaurant to pick up or the people that don't feel comfortable, they can just park in the parking lot since we have such a large parking lot. They park in the front and they say, I'm in this car, this is my license plates, and we go ahead and we bring the food to your car if you don't feel comfortable coming into the restaurant.
Right.
And if you don't want to come into the restaurant, you can always call the restaurant and we will deliver it to your house.
What about those other places like Grubhub and some of those other services? Are you using them?
Yes, we have all those services as well, and it's a convenient way of getting food today to your house. Yeah. However, if you do want to talk directly to the restaurant, then you would just call the restaurant directly and making sure that somebody repeats back the order to you instead of just putting it on a computer and hoping that somebody else reads it the way you intended it to be.
Mm-hmm. No.
So it has changed. I mean, business has changed from what it used to be. We are very clean. We've always been very clean, but we disinfect every week, every day, every minute. Every hour, every table being disinfected. It's a lot of extra chemicals that we have to use, the disinfectant stuff to clean everything. So it has been quite a good experience for everyone to learn how to be really safe in these difficult times. Mm-hmm. And I must tell you that we have really aced this cleaning business now. We're all mavens now, total mavens. Somebody gets up, you better go clean that table right away, and it's just crazy. The chairs, the things, it's just unbelievable to see how we have evolved as an industry, as people, to cope with this COVID-19.
Well, for our residents who may not be familiar with the word maven, maven means an expert. And so, as Alex is saying, his staff have become experts in the cleaning arena. And it's a new life. It's a whole new thing. But they're still buying. You have a large menu. A lot of delis have a large menu. That means that you've got to keep a pretty good inventory. And
have you been in the restaurant business? Because your questions kind of give me a feeling like you've been in the restaurant business somehow, some way.
Yeah, my father and my grandfather, his father-in-law, come from the produce business. If you, I think they're still out there, Northern Produce, Mushrooms Incorporated. These are my relatives. My dad's company was called Del, after my sister Delphine, Del's Produce. And so I came from that world and I worked for a customer of my dad's, Al Wiener, who had coffee shops. And I started to cook in the kitchen. And I couldn't wait to get out of the kitchen and work on the other side of the wheel. But I've been there. I've had the pleasure. I love to eat, hence the original Foodie. And I enjoy eating. But like Brian, I'm very aware of what I eat. The old days of eating everything. I mean, my personal diet, if you will, is fruits, vegetables, fish, and chicken. That's my lifestyle. I don't eat much meat. I will have a pastrami. I will have a corned beef. And one of my favorites, of course, is chicken salad. I love a good chicken salad sandwich with lettuce, tomato, and Munster cheese on rye bread with a little Thousand Island. So
making me hungry. But I had a feeling when you asked me those questions that I'm not talking to just a foodie. Somebody has worked behind the kitchen, because you would never ask me those questions if you would not be behind the kitchen, And let me answer you the question. Yes, we had to limit our menu to a great extent because, you have to turn the food. So if you don't have the business to turn the huge amount of the large menu, you have a lot of spoilage. So in order to survive during these difficult times, my son has reduced the menu to the top 10 items that sell the best.
Right.
So anything over that, we had to take it out for this temporary menu because it just didn't make sense to keep all that inventory to spoil.
Sure.
And we have an in-house bakery, as you know. We make all our bakery products in-house. And that has been a tremendous success because, again, it's my mother's recipes of the chocolate chip arugula and all that stuff. So if you ever taste it, it's a Romanian style,
Yeah, sure.
And it's just delicious. So I'm very happy that they have really been holding their own in the bakery, and we sell a lot of bakery products. And it makes me very happy that people appreciate, our effort in getting all this thing done. And again, no restaurant, as you know, survive on its own. It's a team effort,
Right.
from the dishwasher to the owners and everything in between. So Lovi is really a labor of love by me, by my son, by my Jay, by the cooks, by the chef, by the busboys, by the dishwashers, anybody, by the prep people. We all take great, and the servers, great pride in delivering a clean, beautiful display of amazing tasting food. That's really our mission. That's really what I really feel in my heart, that I'm in the restaurant business where I like people happy. I also grew up like you. I love to eat. It's one of those things. If you can go back to, I'm sure since your parents come from Europe, the way the Jewish people survived all these centuries, the pogroms in Russia and all that stuff. During the summertime, we all got fat. It was just the way it was. My mother was feeding me, and I said, I'm not hungry, but you eat. So usually for winter, I stored about 20 extra pounds on. Because when the winter came in Romania, where I was born, you had 6-7 inches of snow. You got snowed in. There was no chance to go to the supermarket. We had no supermarkets to buy stuff. We had nothing. We were stuck in the house for a month at a time. Guess what happens to those extra 20 pounds?
Yeah.
By the time summer came around, you lost all your weight because there was no food.
Right.
There was no food. I remember my mother, she stored apples. I remember. She stored apples and chicken fat in the basement. It's the only thing that she could have that stayed, because there was no refrigerators in Romania. We had no refrigerator. We had no dishwashers. We had none. Everything was based on coal, So, you had to, make sure that you don't consume all the food, because God forbid the winter runs more than 6 months and you're stuck and you can't eat. Then a lot of people died, that had no food. Of course, you don't hear it on the news, because under Ceausescu was the president of Romania, everything just was the Communist Party, and we lived in a small city, and it was really a tough life. And that's the reason I'm bringing it back to today's world. We love to eat because we got used to famine, and we used to always eat. So when we came to America, where food was so plentiful, but you still have the old habits, you eat, but now, as less is more, more healthier foods. Like my son brought in all the organic stuff and things, you are what you eat. So it's a whole different mentality. But nonetheless, there's nothing like a good meal with some good friends and having a good laugh. There's just nothing substitute that at Lovi's Deli.
I want to.
Before we do that, we do have to wrap up. We've got another show we got to head over to, but I want to say I would love to invite you guys back. The show that we had on right before Original Foodie was all about Westerns, and clearly the Western genre is something that you are a big fan of. So,
oh, absolutely. That's another conversation.
I will invite you to Cinephiles in the coming weeks.
Well, please. It was such an honor to do your show, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share a little part of our family history with your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank Jay for us, and Brian, a pleasure meeting you, and I hope to see you guys there soon.
L'chaim.
Absolutely.
L'chaim, and happy holidays to everybody. Shana Tova.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Till we eat again.
Yes, Shana Tova. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.